Right now, a bill to declassify information about the origins of COVID-19 is now being sent to the president. The House voting unanimously today to make that intelligence public. Here to talk about the importance of that move is Meet the Press moderator Chuck Todd. Thanks so much for joining us. It's not every day we see a unanimous vote in the typically divided Congress. What do you think this is all about? Do you think we will actually ever get to the root of the origin of COVID-19?
Probably not. Not until the Chinese Communist Party is no longer in charge of China. I hate to be, we didn't find out what happened in Chernobyl, okay, until after the Soviet Union fell. And in fact, if you recall the HBO series that told us everything that came out about Chernobyl, all of that was because the Ukrainian government, after it was developed in the fall of the Soviet Union, found all these records and made them public for journalists to go through. And so the point being is, you're asking, when are we ever going to know the origins of COVID? If the origins are to be known, it's probably not going to be until there's a different type of government, a government that wants to be transparent, that needs to do this. I have a feeling we're not, because even if our intelligence, and even if we're able to prove we know this came out of a lab leak, and maybe it wasn't manufactured in the lab, maybe it was a specimen that was naturally occurring, but they were studying it in the lab. What are the consequences going to be? Right? What are they going to do? Is China going to pay reparations around the world? Unlikely. Are they going to be denied a seat at the UN? That's not something that's possible. So I do think, if you're asking when are we ever going to really know the truth, not until the Chinese Communist Party tells us the truth or false.
So we should not be holding our breath anytime soon for that. Let's switch gears and talk about the newly released jobs report. So the U.S. adding 311,000 jobs in February, that amount far above what analysts had predicted. It's good news on one hand, right? But it doesn't change the fact that Americans are struggling because of sky-high inflation. But now all we are really poised to do is just wait to see how the Fed reacts. They're meeting in less than 2 weeks. So, how are they going to react to this? Because the thought was that they were going to continue to hike up rates. So what's your take on this?
Well, as long as he has said it. He testified this week, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jay Powell, and he said, look, as long as it doesn't look like this economy is slowing down, and this jobs report indicates that there isn't. There's another inflation report. The February inflation report will come out next week. If it is elevated again, between that and this jobs report, it almost guarantees that rate hikes are going to continue until we get over 6%. That said, the real issue in this country is something that, everything we sit here and you're properly focused on the Fed. They're the only ones right now doing anything about our inflationary issues. But one of the other reasons we have this massive inflationary problem and why we have these robust jobs numbers is that we don't have enough. Our labor pool is too small. What do I mean by that? We need more immigrants. Our immigration policies have prevented people from getting into this country, and we're missing a lot of workers in certain sectors, certain parts of the service industry that has slowed down our supply chain and has contributed to inflation. And it's arguably the largest contributor now to inflation. But as you know, our Congress is completely polarized on the immigration issue, and there's really not much that's going to move there. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get out of this loop for some time unless Congress sobers up on the immigration issue.
I think it'd be interesting to see that actually being discussed in a very open and honest way instead of politicizing it. But again, just like uncovering the origins of COVID, I think we'll have to wait for that to ever happen. Chuck Todd,
don't hold your breath on that one either, Carolyn.
Exactly.
How much you're breathing.
Right. Thanks so much, Chuck. And remember, you can have more Chuck. And the entire time can be Chuck when you watch Meet the Press. It's on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. right here on WCNC Charlotte.